Hello and welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Was That? Or we will call it 317 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
We're at bottom of the league on 2 points at the77club.com. We're at jeffsheesabellend.com. And why are we even doing this podcast? Is this our last podcast of the year, lads? Because our season's certainly over. Why are we even here?
Jack, why are we here?
It's a good point because I don't know what we can say that everyone doesn't already know, but hello.
Well, look, let's have this little therapy session together, everybody, a little bit later than usual, just after the loss to Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, 1-0, Harry. For the first time this season, Wolves were unchanged for a consecutive game. Big lot of good that did.
I think I'm actually a dickhead, right? Because I thought after Aston Villa, that first half in particular, I thought we're going to go and beat Forest. No problem. At least draw. I've seen enough. I've seen we're organised. But that first half tonight was an utter disgrace. We had one touch in their box. We had a shot, apparently. Don't remember it. But it was an utter disgrace. Those players want to be ashamed of themselves. They want to get docked about a month's wages. And half of them are already looking for their next club. Chachua, if he's a footballer, I'm a brain surgeon. That bloke is useless. I'd rather have had a half-fit, broken-armed Matt Doherty right wing back tonight than him. Awful. I feel sorry for Rob Edwards, but when he brought Hwang on, I almost give up at that point. He brings Hwangi Chan on as first sub. I'm like, nah, don't do it to me. And he did it. So, I don't know what to say. We've said everything over and over and over again, but when you can tell and the players have proven they do not care, we're done.
Just looking, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked by the comments.
Comments are funny.
It does look like Singh J5P has woken up today and chosen violence because he said, where is Bayliss the bell end? And then says, Jack, any chance you could stop wearing your nan's clothes? All very good points, Singh. But Jack, let's have a look at the game there. I mean, we watched the Villa game together on Sunday and we were sort of sat there saying to ourselves, actually, things are looking a lot better. Don't want to jinx it. And then we get a goal ruled for offside. The glory that is John Arias getting his arse in the way. Offside, Strand Larsen. So we lose 1-0, but I think there's reasons to be cheerful. And then it's just back to reality. Sam Johnston is about as good in the air as a lead balloon.
Yeah, and again, I'm in the same boat as Harry. I think I'm a Belaine too, because I texted you both this afternoon and said, you know what, lads, I think we're going to win today. Like, we say what you want about Edwards. I think that the first two games have been better. We should have got something against Villa, really, I think, on the whole. But it's just really... It all just comes back to bite you, doesn't it? And Forest were there for the taking as well. And that's it now in my head. I think we are actually down. It's the 3rd of December.
Really?
We are down. That's the final nail in the coffin, because I thought maybe Edwards can turn it around. And 3 games in, we're relegated. So I don't know what's wrong with him for even wanting to come and do this, because what was he actually going to do to change it? But the players they're a classic combination of not arsed and not good enough. And it's just what can you do with that? And it genuinely frustrates me, the fact how low on confidence some of them are, that the fact that they're just looking to play the easy pass every time because they're so scared of actually making a mistake or doing anything, that we end up going backwards, inviting pressure on ourselves, and then inevitably at some point we concede. And today we lasted 70 odd minutes or whatever before we conceded. And what's Johnson doing? Just because he was a bit dodgy against Villa as well, in my opinion. It went a little bit under the radar. But if you go for a ball like that, you've got to do something with it, because ultimately you've just cost us at least a point there. When you got 2 points, that's actually a lot. That's half our points for the season. So I don't know. I don't know where you go from here, really. And it looked a bit better when the subs came on in spells, I think. But we were just, God knows what formation we were playing, and who was playing where, because we were just holding on, weren't we? And Mane came on and channeled his inner Arias a little bit, although he was getting in better positions and looked a bit more lively. And I just don't know, man. It's actually just embarrassing now a little bit, because you kind of thought, okay, we've had a dodgy start to the season. We'll win one eventually. We'll win one eventually. We haven't won a game since April. Our last goal was against Burnley. Like, it's just pathetic. Honestly, pathetic.
It was quite amusing, wasn't it, Harry, when there was a couple of posts doing the round before this game saying that Mascara's own goal against Fulham in November was Wolves' only goal. So the goal of the month by default is going to have to go to an own goal, which was the third going in away from home. I made a little bit of a joke before the game because I think, Jack, you possibly mentioned that how weak the bench looks. And I posted in the bench from the loss to Sevilla in Europa League. I mean, it is getting on for probably over 5 years ago now, but it just shows how far we've fallen.
Mm. Yeah, can I just bring something up while people are saying it? Bayliss, unfortunately, has quit the podcast. I think he never wants to turn up anymore. I don't blame him, to be honest. He's probably got the right idea. But there you go, Shiv. There's your answer to that. I wish he was here to slag Chachura off because he gives Semedo stick for so many years, and now we've got an even worse player. Well, 10 times worse player than Semedo off. But yeah, you mentioned about Johnston. I know he flapped at the goal. I agree, but he actually pulled off some decent saves tonight. I thought just to stick up for him a little bit.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're going to do that in the 70th minute. It doesn't matter. Like,
but I mean, Strand Larson went back to being his usual disgraceful self tonight. I thought he was good at Villa, pathetic tonight. I just don't know. I don't know. The fall off, like you say, Sam. The fall off from the Europe days is scarily. It's got to be studied, hasn't it? That it's like Jeff Sheehan is tried to do this. That's the only explanation. It's like even if you got someone else to try and do this to their club over the next 5 years, they won't be able to do it as bad as we've done it. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard to watch, and I was embarrassed watching that. I was embarrassed, and you can tell on the ground there's a few songs towards Fosun towards the end of the first half, but no one cares anymore. They've butchered us that bad. Nobody cares anymore, particularly in the ground on match days. That's when you know it's worse than bad because nobody cares.
I was talking to my dad about how well Sunderland are doing because he's a Liverpool fan, and Sunderland are beating Liverpool at the moment. You'll be pleased to hear. What they're just taking it by storm, aren't they? Doing everything properly. Obviously, I don't want to age the podcast too much, but not that it really matters anymore. Sorry if you're listening after the fact. But Leeds beating Chelsea. We are 12 points off safety. But Jack, as you say, I think that is the final nail in the coffin. Do you think that Rob Edwards looking as broken as he did on the touchline is because he's just thinking, what have I done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him if he just gets a taxi back to Middlesbrough straight away after the game, to be honest. But we said at the time he must be a madman because, like, the position that we're in, 3 games later, he's not a miracle worker. He must just really want a short commute to work in the Championship. That's probably the reason that he's taken it. That's the only thing I can think, because I don't know what he thought he could do and turn this around, because it's still the same players, really, and the same ones who we brought in to replace players in key positions are just not performing. And we said this time last year that how important the wing backs were to just us and the way we attack and the way we defend. We've downgraded them massively. We've sold Cunha. Arias, like, I genuinely don't even want to look at the guy. Like, it just annoys me to look at him. Like,
what is Arias? That header today. How's he missed that header? Was it second half?
No.
Yeah, it was second half. He didn't shoot first half. What is he, John Arias? I'm fed up of like trying him now. Just put him in the reserves. I don't get it. Put him in the reserves. Put Hwang in the reserves. I'd rather have Trewewa on the pitch than fucking Arias. That's how bad I think he is. And I think there was one clip when it zoomed in on him and he was muttering to himself first half. And I thought, what? Like, feeling sorry for himself. It's like, mate, you shit. He should get docked a month's wages. All the players should. All the fans should get discounts on their season tickets for how bad it's been. How are we benchmarked towards Villa and we're on 2 points in December? We should get money back for our season tickets. I ain't going again this season. My next game was going to be Brentford, right? I ain't going to Brentford. No fucking way. Not when they're playing like this and the way that our ownership's running the club. It's a I give up, man. We should stop doing podcasts for the rest of the season. We might as well all pack our bags and go home. What's the point in even doing this podcast today?
But then
I do regret watching that over I'm a Celebrity, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't stop now that we've started a new brand, which is a series called "What the Fuck Was That, Harry?" I mean, we've started now. It's an important step forward. But Jack, where do we go from here? Because, like we say, we were joking about how weak the bench looks. African Cup of Nations starts in about 3-ish weeks' time, of which we are looking at losing potentially 5 players for that, which will be
no. T'Challa has been dropped, and I'm gutted. I wish he was going. He's been dropped. He's not going, and it's a disgrace. He should be going, because I don't want to see him in a Wolves shirt again.
Chirua, I don't know what he's done wrong. Harry, he's played about 4 minutes.
Chachua. What's the right back, the donkey? I'm getting them names mixed up. Jackson Chachua has been dropped from the Colombia squad for the AFCON. He's not going, which I'm pissed off about.
Wait, hang on.
I'm confused.
Hang on. Harry's that angry that he's merged all of the continents together and ended up with Colombia.
Sorry, Chachua for Cameroon.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
What I'm trying to get at is I wish he was going, because he shouldn't be in a Wolves shirt ever again after tonight's performance. That's what I'm trying to say. He was our 5th choice centre back. Savona, whatever his name is, was right back for a Forest, was our 3rd or 4th choice centre back in the summer. He said, "Nah, I'm staying at Juventus. I ain't going to Wolves." 4 days later, he went to Forest. That proves how far we've fallen. I mean, players are lying, saying they want to stay at the club that they're at when we go in from, and then they end up going to a team in the same division as us a few days later. Oh, honestly, I might just drop out the stream.
But no, bad news travels, doesn't it? And the reason we can't attract players is because they know the reality of what the situation is. And the situation is that the only dream Wolves can sell you these days is if you come in and have a few good seasons and overperform for us, you might get a move to a team higher at the table. Otherwise, it's just going to be an absolute slog and total cost cutting all the time. And little things, as soon as your team's more interested in video game Fortnite competitions, as soon as you start making your own kicks, you don't want to employ Adidas or Nike to do it, just screams you're trying to save money everywhere, doesn't it? And these sort of little things. So it's been coming for a while. We've been on a downward trajectory for a few seasons now, just because of the model and the lack of investment. I thought we'd run out of luck at some point and we'd go down, but I didn't think it would be in this bad a fashion, because 2 points at this stage for us, even with the players we do have now, is pathetic and inexcusable in my opinion.
Neil says Harry's back on the beer again, but it is Tango Cherry, and you should be jailed for drinking that, because that is a horrible drink. But I don't really know where to go from here. I mean, Harry, did he make the right substitutions at all? And has he made any good substitutions in his 3 games in charge yet, Rob Edwards?
Well, no, because he brought Hwang on. I personally think he should have made massive changes at half time after that first half performance, but he didn't. But then you look at the bench, like we were saying, it's horrendous how weak our bench is. Hwang's useless. Menetzi, useless. Chirera, Mane, kids. I'd probably brought Mane as my first choice. Tolu, apparently still not fit in December. Come on, try to cause a bit of a nuisance. We ain't got no one to change it, have we? Doherty, 50% fit probably. What are you going to do? Put him up front? We may as well. We've seen him score goals before, at least. So, as much as I was annoyed with his Hwang sub, Rob Edwards has got his hands tied, because he's got probably one of the worst squads in Premier League history in front of him. And we've been down. I said we were going to get relegated after Bournemouth away. That was the 2nd game of the season. I'd seen enough through pre-season to know where this was heading. At that point, I didn't think it'd be this bad. I thought we'd go down, but I didn't think we'd only be on 2 points. I thought we'd at least won 1 or 2 games. I thought we'd be on about, like 9 or 10 points, but I thought we'd go down. It's actually embarrassing and laughable that we're only on 2 points still. Like you said, Sam, I don't know if you've read out the Derby stat. They were already on 6 points when they ended on 11 at this point. Are we going to get to 11? It don't look likely at the moment.
The fewest points after 13 Premier League games. Derby don't even make this list because they were on 6 points at the time. Sheffield United, after 13 games, obviously played 14 now. 1 point, finished 20th. Burnley, 23-24, 4 points, finished 19th. QPR in 2012-13, 4 points, 20th. Sheffield United, 23-24, 5 points, 20th. Sheffield Wednesday had 5 points in the 99-2000 season, finished 19th. Swindon, 93-94, finished 22nd. Sunderland in 05-06, that is the record at the moment, 11 points. They had 5 points after finished 20th. Southampton, 24-25, 5 points, 20th. Villa in 15-16, 5 points, finished 20th.
We've got less points than Southampton had last season at this stage. They had 5 points after 13 games, and we've got 2.
Yes,
and I thought they were horrendous. Like, so what are we? I don't know what we are anymore.
They were horrendous.
But there's only one person to blame. Is there any point in talking about the football, or should we just talk about Jeff Shee and how we're going to get him out?
I want to bring up this because it turns out that Jeff Shee is aware of you, Harry.
Why?
That's what you said in the group. Was that not true?
Oh yeah, we're not allowed to talk about that. But yes, he's.
Okay.
What's he going to do?
Yeah, I said that in confidence. No, yeah, he is. He's aware of people, but they do watch everything. They do. But the thing is with Jeff, the club by law have to speak, like by a Premier League rule, have to speak to some kind of supporters group, and they speak to the trust. But they've also been floating around speaking to other groups, supporters groups. But he does it secretly behind closed doors, buys them all a beer, touches them up a bit, softens them up, and gets them on side. And I hope you don't touch him up. You know what I mean? I'm implying he's to sexually assault
them
people.
Up, maybe. Tap them up.
Yes, you know what I mean. He's, But the bloke's clueless. He needs to go. He needs to go. If Fosun ain't going to sell, which they're not, he needs to be gone, and they need to get someone in as the chairman who knows what they're doing. The damage is done. We've got to look to next season now, and next season Fosun will be here and Jeff Shee will be here. We're going to lose £100 million, as we discussed the other week. We're going to try and get promoted within a budget without, the sell to buy shit will still be going on. So we'll have to sell most of our squad, get as much money as we can, and then that's what we'll have to spend on trying to create a completely new squad to get back up in Molineux that needs painting still, and with a toxic bloke running it. They're still going to be here next season. I dread to think what's going to happen. We're going to be in the Championship for years to come. Might even be longer than last time that we was out of it, then come back. So what do you two suggest, lads? Because people hear me bang on like a whiny idiot all the time on my channel. What do you two want to see with Fosun and Jeff, or don't you care anymore?
I think it always seems, when you're in it and it happens, like something like a double relegation, which is obviously awful to go through, not just as a football fan, but for the city as well, to go from being a Premier League team and the money that brings into the city and the jobs and the food stalls or the pubs or whatever, that is a huge loss. But it always seems a lot longer when you're living through that time, if that makes sense. Because if you take 13-14 season, which was the League One winning campaign, it's 4 years later we still in the Championship, got promoted, finished 7th. So when you look back, actually it's really not that long in the doldrums, although it feels like it at the time, certainly. And if we manage to keep any of this team together and go down, then I still don't think it's really good enough to compete in the Championship. Jack, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Harry. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think we just got to try and enjoy the rest of this season now, really, because there's going to be some teams we play in grounds that we get to go to. I don't think we're going to go to for some time, really. And my real worry is and we've seen it before, particularly with Chinese owners, happened to other clubs, that once they lose interest, then it turns very nasty very quickly, and the only way is down. And I don't think any of these players would actually want to stay and even consider like playing for us in the Championship and trying to right the wrongs that they're partially responsible for. That's the real problem. I don't think anyone's that loyal to the badge anymore, because no one's really been here that long. Everyone who does do well, eventually we move on, or they have enough, and like Semedo, they decide, no, I've had enough of this because it's not going anywhere, sort of thing with the project. And then you're ultimately relying on sort of bringing in new players and them hitting the ground running, which has been an absolute disaster this season. Apart from Craigie, who's now, not here, then injured. Apart from that, the recruitment and everything's been horrible. and we've got to now trust whoever it is to go down and do the same thing again on a budget and somehow get us promoted. And I just can't see it. It absolutely stinks, the whole thing. And I think that Jeff also, he's clearly got an ego, and you see that from some of the things that he goes around saying, and he does take offense to what people say and do. And every time he's turning up and people are singing, it's going to impact him, and he's just going to be like, fuck it, really. He won't care. And it's already showing now that he doesn't care. The fact that they, won't paint the ground, and they won't do this, and they won't invest, and they're quite happy just to try and sell and for a small profit and keep the club moving on. But due to their bad management, they've fucked it this time. They've had enough warnings, and they've completely ruined it. They're going to lose that Premier League money, and it's all their fault.
I couldn't agree more with that. Harry, the Fosun chairman, Zhou Zhangzhong, was at the Crystal Palace game. It's a long way to come to watch some pretty terrible football. I mean, it's not like he didn't know what was going to be awaiting him. Do you think, because I think I heard today maybe yesterday in Rob Edwards' press conferences, that they're having talks behind the scenes looking at the January window, which obviously, if we signed everyone on the 1st of January, they'd only fit in half the games of the season. What do you think those talks look like behind the scenes?
Hopefully, it's just the Palace game. It probably was. They were probably deluded enough to think that we might still have a chance to stay up, even though we lost. But that was probably the talks. Look, are we going to pump loads of money in trying to survive? That's gone. It should have been gone at that point. The talk now is sell as many of the stars as you can, get as much money as you can in January, play the kids, and look to next season, and then try and get somebody. Hopefully, it can be Matt Jackson, who's the new sporting director. I'm holding my breath when I say that because I don't believe it really. Can build a championship solid squad. Rob Edwards will be at the helm. Hopefully, he can use the knowledge he's got of the championship. He had a good start in Middlesbrough, got Luton up. But in terms of the short term and now, I hope Molineu's completely empty against Man United. I think it'll be pretty empty anyway, just because of the way we're playing. But I hope word goes round and people put on the forums and people say on podcasts, whatever. I know people love Wolves and people go no matter what. But I hope the message can get round and nobody goes. I hope that actually happens. It's a hard thing to do, but it'll send such a clear message to them that they won't be able to ignore it. And it'll be on Sky Sports and it'll make massive news. And then maybe the people who can't stay away, maybe stand outside and go up to the Sky Sports cameras, used to talk about the Taiwan flags, whatever flags, put Jeff Shee as a clown on a flag, who cares? You just got to do it until they can no longer ignore it, until they have to take action at some point. Like I say, I don't think they're going to sell, but at least get rid of Jeff. Nobody likes him. He's unlikable. He's got no connection to the fans. He's clearly clueless and knows nothing about football. Great businessman, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he knows a lot about business, but when it comes to football, it matters. And what scares me the most is he was heavily involved in recruitment. He was suggesting people to Vitor Pereira. He didn't know what football was 10 years ago, and he was suggesting players. That's like one of us lot lads going to America and buying a baseball team, and then us picking who's pitching and who's whacking it with a stick. It just wouldn't happen, would it? We ain't got a fucking clue about it. And he hasn't got a clue. But like you said, Sam, he's got such a big ego. And because we did well when they first come in, because they got lucky when they appointed Nuno and we had good people around him, he probably thinks that was all because of him. So in the short term, we've got to try and get Jeff Shee out in the short term for the future of this club.
Jack, is that changing the captain of the Titanic, or has Harry got a point?
I was just busy thinking whether I could pick a baseball player who was better than John Arias. That's just where my head had gone. But potentially. The only person I feel bad in the whole boycott thing is Rob Edwards, really, because he's taken a chance to come here. And then 3 games in, he's playing in front of a half-empty stadium. And I know it's a bit of a poison chalice that he took over, and that's my only concern with that approach, really, because he's put a big risk on his own career to come here. And granted, I think he was balmy to even consider it, so that's partly his own fault. But he clearly loves the club, and he's happy to take the job on next season, because that has to have been part of the discussions, unless Jeff and everyone really was that deluded to thinking that we have bloody 3 wins on the board by now and everything will be fine again. But yeah, I can understand why people are frustrated. So
are we right? When Fosun brought us, remember the season with Wenger and Lambert, when we go down, are we in a worse position than when Fosun brought us when we go down?
When we go down next time, yeah, probably.
When we get in the championship,
there's a lot of risk
season,
involved. Yeah,
they have managed somehow, considering the dizzy heights we reached. They're somehow now, when we go down, managed to have us in a worse position than when they brought us. And the stadium's a pile of shit. And they haven't done anything to the training ground. At least Steve Morgan built a brand new stand behind the goal and made our academy grade A, whatever it is. They haven't done anything like that. They promised the world, and then after COVID, nothing. Pulled the plug on everything. So look, they've given us the best times we ever had when we was all sat in Barcelona, like we said the other week. But they've just as quickly given us some dark shit times recently. I know we've had a good stint in the Premier League, but the last 3 or 4 years have been painful watching us struggle. And there's no joy in watching the team anymore. And they've hiked the prices up. I can't believe we've got benchmarks more. Will the season ticket prices go down next season? What do you think?
No, the logic will be, you get more games in the Championship, lads, so prices, they stay the same. You get 23 home games. Yeah.
Price per game's fallen, so in real terms, they've fallen. Eddie, thanks for the donation. He says, hey, fellas, pretty much echoing what Harry and Jack have said. Wolves fan from Canada here. It's become unbearable to watch the club play. Gutted that we've gone from Jota and Neves to this. Love the pods. I think he's got a point. And Jack, do you go about... It's the old saying, isn't it? Throwing good money after bad. Is it about, like I mentioned the other day, getting in some potential loans that are outside the usual Portuguese talent that we would maybe go out after, and with an obligation to buy if we stay up, and then nothing doing if we don't?
I think that ship sailed now. I know when Edwards came in, part of the deal was that he'd be backed in January, but we're going to be so off the pace. We're going to be already relegated. Who's going to want to come in their right mind unless it was completely risk-free? You just have to look at maybe domestic loans where somebody's trying to get half a season of fitness in, and with no risk of them actually, having to have the relegation if we go down. And it's going to be a difficult sell. I think you'll be looking down to get players from the Championship rather than looking for players who are playing for Premier League teams to come to you, which again probably sets us well if we are looking to recruit them, for the Championship season ahead. But it's just going to be. It's going to be a mess because every decent player or decent asset we've got is going to want out. And I think we're going to struggle to replace them unless we're trying to just use the players. The likes have been featuring now, the likes of Mane and Chouaya, and just ride the season out like that. But it's going to get really bleak because we're going to get battered. And then suddenly Derby's points record is a realistic thing. Because even if you asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'd have said, no, it won't be that bad. It won't be that bad. We'll get something on the board. But I've been saying that for weeks now. I've been saying it since April. We've got to have a bit of luck and just grind something out at some point. And then something happens. We let in a last minute goal. Johnson decides to go for a ball that he misses, or something happens that just messes it up any chance we've got of anything. So we can't rely on any luck, and we're just not good enough to actually make our own. So it's just really, really depressing.
Harry, Manchester United up next. Usually goals in that, mostly from Man United, to be honest. It was a thriller, I think, last time out, a 2-0 win, which is actually probably around the same time of year, wasn't it? Just after Christmas, the home fixture. The squad obviously looks a lot different now than it did then. Where do you think Rob Edwards will go from here? African Cup of Nations on the horizon. He's going to have to mix it up a bit. I mean, if we do lose 4 players, I don't know which 4 players are coming onto the bench.
Rob Edwards will probably have to go to some kind of counselling soon, the way it's going, because he looked like a depressed man on the sideline tonight. As people have pointed out in the comments, João Gomez is banned, isn't he? He got a yellow. Yep. So we're going to have to see the marvellous Manetzi in midfield, or Krejci if he's back. We know we're going to see Mateus Cunha probably bag a hat-trick, just to rub salt in the wounds. And I'll probably clap him. Well, I won't be there, to be honest. I'll clap at the telly. Fuck it. As much as I hated the way he acted towards the end of last season, I'd amputate my right leg to have him back now, just for a bit of entertainment. It's going to be embarrassing. I can't see any character or any want or any will or any care in this team to show any kind of response. We saw a glimpse at Villa, but he should just shake it up completely. I don't want to see Strand Larsen now. Get him gone. Start the half-fit Tolu. Give him his 25 minutes he can last. Put the kids on. Put both Mane and Torreira. If Fer Lopez is back, throw him in as well. Why not? Midfield is going to be Andre and Manezzi in it, as I said. I'd put Doherty in at right wing back. Get rid of Chachua. He's useless. Probably bring Santi Bueno back in. It's been harsh that he's been dropped, to be honest. Should we give Jose Sarr a go while we're at it? Or is Bentley back? I'll throw him in. Why not? It's got to be a convincing defeat. Monday Night Football, all they talk about is Man United in the build-up all the time. They won't even speak about Wolves. And then when they win 5-0, they'll just say how good Amarin's bouncing back and all that shit that they usually go on about. And I don't even... Do you know what? I'm half tempted not to even watch it on telly. That's the way I'm feeling after that game tonight against Forest. So, yeah, I can't believe 12 months ago we were beating them 2-0 and having the fight back under Vitor. I can't believe we're here in December. I really can't. I thought it was going to be bad, like I said earlier, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. There is more chance of Jake Paul knocking out Anthony Joshua than Wolves beating Man United Monday night.
Could happen. I want to read this out from Ernest. I'm 80 years old, I've been a fan and supporter aficionado for 74 years, and with a lot of other fans likewise, I'm having to endure premature purgatory watching the demise of the love of my lifetime. Thanks, Fosun. I think, Ernest has been around a lot longer than everybody else here, but this isn't quite the worst.
No, Sam, good point, because we weren't alive for the Batty era. That's their names, by the way. I'm not being derogatory. Apparently, that was horrendous when the Batties were owners, but we were obviously down in the dumps, right down in the lower leagues back then. I can't think it'd be that bad, but if your mate there, you just read a comment out, if he can comment back, does anyone who was around then, surely it weren't as bad as the 80s under the Batties when Wolves nearly went extinct. They nearly went out of business. I remember Dad telling me stories that he went on the march saying save the Wolves and all that, marching through Wolverhampton. So it ain't that bad, but it's up there with the double dip years, I think, when we went down under Terry Connor, and then obviously went down to League One. It's got that feeling to it, I think. Maybe probably a little bit worse because we at least got 25 points that season, didn't we, in the end? We're on 2 at the moment. So, yeah, it's really dark. And it's been coming, like we said. We've all seen it coming, haven't we? But, yeah, I'd love to hear what people say in the comments who are alive, whether this is worse than the Batty era.
I know there'll be regulars in the comments. I'm looking at you, Neil, and I think 123 North Street, possibly. Although we don't know how old you are or what you look like or anything like that. So any things you've said in the past. But I'd say those were dark days. But Jack, I think those days were mentioned on commentary, I think, at the weekend against Villa, as the start to this season has been so poor, as that it did start a demise of Wolves falling until they hit literally the rock bottom of Division 4.
Yeah, and I think you see it all the time, really. Clubs who go down, they tend to, the ones that go up and down a fair bit, they have, a bit more stable ownership, don't they? I think the real worry now is this is the first time that we're going to get relegated under Fosun, and this project that they seem to be increasingly getting a little bit impatient with and more bored with. Again, the real risk is just the uncertainty, because if they just think, right, we've messed it up now, we'll do whatever we can to stop it hemorrhaging money, and that means not investing anymore. We've seen it first-hand experience. Double relegations do happen for teams on the odd occasion, because we've been one of them, and other teams have been flirting with it recently as well. So it's that's the really difficult thing, and the problem is that they're going to want a return on investment if they do sell the club. All the assets that we do have are going to be stripped pretty much immediately for a lesser rate than they would be if we were doing well. And then suddenly they're not going to get the same amount of money that they valued us at. What was it, 400 million euros? Some people were saying that they wanted for the club, and it's going to be worth 40 when we go down. And they're not going to want to sell it because they don't see that as a return on investment. So the only way to get that back up is for them to put money back in and build the brand and get us back in the Premier League. But I think they might just write us off. That's the real concern. That's what people are worried about, because that's always the sort of the risk when it comes to these sort of unknown quantities in overseas ownership, who, like Harry said, didn't know what football was 10 years ago.
That's such a good point. And just keeping it on there, I think, Ernest, you're probably the the oldest that we have at the moment. I don't know if anyone is older than Ernest in the comment section. We've got God Struggler here, 8783 on Harry's point. Started going in 1971, and this is every bit as bad as the mid 80s. Don't think it can't happen again. Fosun will not sell us. They'll strip our assets and take parachute payments. Pretty much what Jack just said there. It's not good reading, is it, Harry? And obviously for us to keep coming on here every week and trying to put a spin on it or anything else like that. But what's going to be in your next video?
I don't know. There probably won't. I'm not even joking. There probably won't be many videos for the rest of the season because what is the point? Every video will be like a broken record. It effectively feels like our season's over, doesn't it? It really does, like I said at the beginning of this podcast. Yeah. But I don't know if you just want to do a Q&A, Sam, just to keep it ticking over, because we're just... What else can we talk about? We're shit. We've got shit owners. We've got a shit chairman. We've got really shit players. Feel a bit sorry for Rob Edwards. He's come into an absolute shit show. And it's nearly as bad as the Batty era, apparently, according to the older people in the chat. It can't go on like this, can it, Sam?
It can. KC Wolf 4624 says, I was around in the 80s. Yes, when we were worse then, but those players were paid peanuts and cost us nothing. Not like this bunch. Go on, Jack, sorry.
I was going to say, let's all just say something about tonight, which wasn't that bad.
Should we try?
Yeah, let's try.
I made a really nice paella.
Has to be about the football. Has to be about the football. Has to be about the game. I'll start. I genuinely thought for a good period of time they were going to give their goal in the first half. After the offside where he stood in front of the keeper, I genuinely thought that they were going to go and say, no, he's not active there because he was never saving it after we've had to sit through that against Villa last week.
Isn't that bad, Jack? Because it's bad how long it took.
It's bad how long it took, but at least they got to the right decision.
Is that a positive?
No, it's struggling for positives, aren't we? Really? That's
one positive is I can't wait to have no VAR next season because the amount we had to wait tonight. That one when they checked that penalty when he was offside as well. They're checking a penalty and he was like miles offside anyway.
But it was miles offside. Yeah. The VAR, the time it takes them to make those decisions that everyone watching it on first replay and the commentators can see straight away is just a shambles. Yeah, I agree. But I genuinely, it was going to rub salt in the wound when I thought they're going to let that stand for some ridiculous reason now. They're going to say, oh no, he was never getting to it anyway after we've had to have Kilman against West Ham and stuff like that go out against us. So,
do you know what my positive was? Well, it made me giggle. He's just watching mascara sometimes.
He's a shit house.
He's nuts. He's like a comedy sketch when you're watching him. He just like can't. When you see him on the corner, he's like poking and grabbing people. Found that quite entertaining, funny, and maybe Mane coming on. But like Jack said, he that one when he went to shoot and it kind of crossed it. But he's only 18. You can't give him stick. Protect him at all costs. He's our future. Because if he moved on, he'd probably be a superstar. But Sam, can you think of any footballing positive?
The first minute was decent.
Was it?
The first 50 seconds, I think.
I can't remember what happened.
Do you know what? I'm trying to remember the game tonight and what was positive, but I'm really struggling to remember what our last goal looked like, which was obviously Menezes against Burnley, but that was in September. So I mean, you do have to have.
When the penalty Strand Larsen after that?
No, it's the penalty first, and then the equaliser from Menezes. Yeah.
Like I'll tell you what. One positive, Sam. One big positive, which I actually think was a really good choice. We decided not to go tonight. Probably the best decision we've made for weeks.
It's ridiculous, isn't it, to be in this situation where, you know, I've been and watched some terrible games of football at Molineux, but I think I've just been so ground down since COVID watching stuff. You know, it always just seems like a massive effort. Does anybody else feel like that?
Yeah,
it just seems like a real effort. Jack is obviously going to Arsenal, but
I'm going to Arsenal because it's just you have to when it's in the city where you live in, really. So you know, I'll take my abacus because that's going to be embarrassing as well. I'm not a massive fan of Arsenal, to be honest. They do my head in a little bit, so not particularly looking forward to it. But I also think like it goes back to the thing that really sort of still bothers me is how we were flying before COVID hit, and our whole Europa League campaign just fell apart because of it. I honestly would have fancied us in 2 legs over Seville, and we knew that we could beat Man United just back then, on our day more than regularly.
Yeah.
And then to go into the COVID nonsense with all the behind closed door stuff, Raul's injury, Nuno going under a cloud. Ever since then, it's just been worse every year, really. And and again, the thing that really, really bothers me is the fact that we've just had the same pattern of behaviour year after year. They do the same thing and expect better results, and the trajectory's been downwards, and they've seen it, and they still kept doing the same thing. So it's just completely their fault. They're absolutely clueless.
Yeah, the only good thing about going now really is just when we have a drink and that, innit? When we all meet, that's what most people go in it. They go with their families, go with their mates. But Jeff and that are ruining that. They're ruining that experience. Like when we went to Chelsea away the other week together, best part of it was having a beer, wasn't it?
The football sort of got in the way.
Also, but just in time for Christmas, lads, home shirts only £25 today.
Home shirts on sale only now, £25.
That's a good sign that they can't give shirts away, can they? I think people have just had enough. Obviously, they're really, to be fair, the blue kit and the home kit this year are actually a really nice design, but people are so annoyed with Fosun and Jeff and that. People are boycotting the club shops, aren't they? And they're getting desperate. Every email, every day, 20% off. And like you say, the home shirt's really cheap today. It's their own fault, isn't it? And you see the ground, how empty it was on TV, because obviously we've spoke about the selling your season ticket system before. A lot of season tickets can't go. They can't sell the ticket on because if they do, they get banned for 4 games. And it's going to be even more empty next season. They can't. When was the last time we sold Molineux out? It's been years, hasn't it? It's been years.
Oh.
It's been a few years, though. Done it to themselves, and they've only got themselves to blame. And at least they've brought Hoyo Silverlining back, I guess, to sing just before they play the game. That's a positive.
Lewis T says, opinion on players we have that look awful for us and they leave and have a good career. How on earth can Carlos Forbes get 2 goals and assists against Barcelona among the matches in the Champions League?
Do you know what I think? I wouldn't. We haven't seen him enough to know if he's awful. Well, to say he's awful for us, but I think Fair Lopez will go on to be a really good player when he inevitably leaves in the summer. And he hasn't been given enough chance, a bit like Carlos Forbes. He's had more chance than Carlos Forbes probably, but. Who else? Will John Arias do anything? Probably if he goes back to Brazil. I can't see him doing anything in a high level in Europe. So, who has been crap for us? I can't see Chachua doing anything at a high level in England. Muller Wolf, he seems to do well for Norway. So,
I think everyone's been a bit naive, really. And going back to the fullbacks thing from earlier is basically we've replaced Aït-Nouri and Semedo with 2 players who I don't think have ever kicked a ball in England. Like it's asking way too much because we just always look to the overseas market now. That really they're players that you need experience in England or ideally Premier League, and we don't recruit from other Premier League teams, really, do we? Unless it's goalkeepers, and that's something that's really held us back with our recruitment. So it's what you're going to do. Again, it's just another example of naivety and not actually knowing how to run a football club, and it's come home to roost. And the fact our squad's full, like we can't bring in any more non-homegrown players, and you look through the squad and it's just pathetic. Like who's taking these spots? It's just really we should be littered with overseas talent, and it's just bang average.
Do you know what? What's a good point, Jack? Because apart from like João Gomez, Andre, maybe Stratton Larson. Who would even want half these players? Who would want them? I know Palace wanted Hwang in the summer. It's going to be hard to actually flog some of these players, how bad they've been.
This is a really good point. And we obviously do the Fantasy Premier League every year. And I register for it and then don't look at it till the end of the season until somebody tells me that I've come last. Story of my life. But what I tried to do was make a full squad out of either current or former Wolves players. I really, really struggled. So I'll read it out for you and then see if anybody else can do any better than me, because I don't think I've missed anyone out. And you're only allowed, I think you're only allowed 3 from your club, aren't you? Or 1 club. So that didn't help. So I've got Martinez in goal. It's obviously at Villa, but did play for us on loan. Got Nunes, James Collins. No, sorry, Nathan Collins, Max Kilman. We've got Cunha, Gibbs White, Neto, Adama, Raul, Strand Larson, Aït-Nouri, Bolly, and Sarr. And then I've had to put in 2 players, which was Haaland and Szoboszlai, just
Sam,
randomly because I've
just,
got loads of money left over. I've got,
but you just
millions.
reading off those names there is depressing in itself, isn't it? All those players that have gone, absolutely depressing. But I don't know. We haven't got much else to say, have we? We're rambling on. It's been a hard podcast to do. We've done it raw and live. It's just fucking hard, and it's so depressing. There's no other way to describe the way Wolves are at the moment. It's hard to talk about.
Oh, Jimenez, yes, that's who was in there, I think.
Get him back.
I know. It just breaks your heart, doesn't it? I know Raul is in there. Okay, well, look, we'll leave that for another week. Best of luck if you're heading to Molyneux on Monday night. It does mean that your weekend will not be ruined by the football. So Monday Night Football is coming to save the weekend for every Wolves fan. And that was the latest episode of What the Fuck Was That? Join us next Wednesday for more of the same. We'll say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
Can't wait for next Wednesday. See you, everyone.
Jack Williams.
But lads, if we beat Man United, maybe.
Top fours on. Lovely. All right. And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.